Isabel, and this is a 30-minute Berkeley Rec Sports yoga class for people with sensitive hands and wrists. You certainly don't need to have sensitive hands and wrists to enjoy this class. It'll be a great class for balancing, lunge poses, things in the legs and the hips. But you won't see us doing any downward facing dog, chaturangas or planks, or really anything that's going to put too much pressure on the heel of your hand and in flexing your wrist. For this class, you don't need a whole lot. Having a yoga mat is recommended, but if you don't have one, carpet is just fine, a rug is fine, probably not hardwood floors without anything, just because we are going to be doing some stuff on our knees that might be a little bit sensitive without some padding. You don't need any props. I always like having blocks, so if you do have them or something that is generally the size and shape of a yoga block, I'd encourage you to grab that. Even a stack of books for sitting at the beginning. And then anything that you might need to be comfortable or warm at the end in Shavasana. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started in seated meditation. I like to sit with my hips above the line of my knees, particularly when I'm not warmed up. So I sit up on a block. You can also just sit like I was just sitting. And you'll cross your legs in front of you, either just putting one foot in front of the other or interlacing your ankles, and then sit all the way on the edge of your block so that your pelvis can tip forward off of the block. Okay? And then I encourage you just to take a few minutes here. Close your eyes, take some breaths, a couple in through the nose and out through the mouth, just to settle yourself here. You might take some time to check in with the body, to notice what you're feeling, to notice what's going on in your mind, how you're showing up to the mat today. For the purpose of this video, because it's only 30 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and skip right into our movement. But again, I'd encourage you to pause the video here and just take 5 minutes to yourself. Allow yourself to really arrive. Okay? We'll get right into movement right now. Okay? So just take a couple rolls of the shoulders first while you're here, up towards your ears. Pull the shoulder blades together back behind you, and then drop the shoulders down. Inhale, separate the shoulder blades forward and up. Exhale, together down the back. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, down and back, and then take it a couple times the other way. And then, because we're being sensitive to our hands here, we're not going to come into tabletop as we often do in Vinyasa class. We're going to do a seated cat and cow. So keep your hands moving nice and easily along the legs. And we're going to start with an inhale. So slide your hands back by your hips, pull your elbows together behind you, lift through the chest, and let the ribs come forward and the belly come forward. Maybe lift the gaze. Exhale, slide the hands all the way down to the knees. Fingers can curl around the knees here. Drop the chin in towards the chest and curl the spine back. Inhale, seated cow. Exhale, seated cat. Really scoop the belly in and up here. And then just move with your breath. I encourage you to keep your eyes closed and to not worry about what this looks like, but start to think about syncing up one breath and one movement. In yoga, we want to let our movement, our breath guide our movement rather than our movement dictating our breath. Okay? So if you ever find yourself starting to be short of breath because the movement is too much for the body, take a break, come to a child's pose or a seat, and get to a place where you are in control of your breath, and that breath can help control your movement. Okay? Just a little bit for our wrists here. On an inhale, lift your arms up overhead, palms come to touch. Exhale, bring your hands down the midline, and then as much as is comfortable here. Stop here if this is enough, or press your hands together, press the wrists down below the line of the elbows, and get a nice stretch here. Inhale, extend the arms back up. And as you exhale, separate the palms and circle the wrists out. Go both directions on the way down. Okay. 1 or 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press the palms, draw the hands down. Goes down as far as you'd like. Inhale, re-extend. Let the gaze follow the hands. And exhale, circle the wrists out. Take it 1 or 2 more times if you'd like. And we're going to move to the top of our mat. Okay. So move your blocks off to the side, but keep them somewhere you can reach them. And stand at the top of your mat with your feet hip-width distance apart. That's about 6 inches between the inner arches. Okay. Make sure you're not locking your knees out if you've got hyperextended knees. Take a nice micro bend. And find a nice even bowl of the pelvis. So not sticking that tailbone out behind us, and not trying to tuck overly much here by lifting up on the front of the core. Okay. We're going to take Ardha Surya Namaskar, or half sun salutation. Inhale, lift the arms around and up as we just did. Palms come to touch. Exhale, separate the hands, hinging at the hips and leading with the chest.
Uttanasana, drop the head, forward fold.
Hands come to shins. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Make the torso long. Exhale, refold. Inhale, come back through that long spine. Your arms circle around and reach up. Your gaze follows Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Anjali Mudra. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Sides of the waist are long, long, long. Exhale, Uttanasana. Head is the last thing to drop. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Long spine, long back of the neck. Exhale, refold. Inhale, up to stand. Lead with the heart. Exhale, hands to heart center. 1 more. Always going at the pace of your own breath, so you are in control. You can go faster than the sound of my voice. You can go slower. It depends on whether you want to invigorate or whether you want to relax. And we meet all the way up at the top, hands together. And we're going to do a modified lunge salute now. So it starts exactly the same way. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step your right foot as far back as you can. Okay. We're going to stay here for a round of breath. So stay up on your fingertips so you're not rounding the shoulders over the leg. 1 diagonal line from the back heel out through the crown of the head. Drop your back knee if it's comfortable. Untuck your toes. You can always fold your mat over if you need to. Okay. From here, lift the torso so your shoulders are directly over your hips. Try to keep the ribs knitted together here. And then just focus on dropping the hips forward. Stay for a breath in and a breath out. Relax the shoulders. Drop a little deeper. And then bring fingertips to the ground, or hands can hover. And we're going to move back to Ardha Hanumanasana. So press the hips back, straighten through the front leg, and toes point up towards the ceiling, and we reach out long over that front leg. Try to keep hips square to the front of the mat. And then we're going to move on the breath through these 2 poses. Take a big inhale here, get nice and long over the front leg. Exhale, rebend, replant the sole of the foot, lift the torso up, drop the hips forward. 2 more times. Inhale, extend, toes point towards the ceiling. Exhale, drop the hips forward, lift the chest, drop the shoulders right away. Last time. Inhale, extend. Exhale, sit back down into it. If you'd like, inhale, circle the arms around and up for Anjaneyasana. Maybe head drops back to look at the thumbs. Lift up and out of the pelvic girdle, maybe to tip back, lifting through the heart space. Exhale, hands come down to the ground, just resting on the fingertips if hands are sensitive. Tuck back toes, lift back knee. Inhale, extend through that front leg so you can bend through your back leg. And then exhale, step
foot to meet the other foot.
Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold other foot. Step that foot as far back as you can. Find a nice long lunge. Lift up the hips a couple inches so you can scissor the inner thighs together. Square off towards the front of the mat. And then drop the back knee and untuck the toes. Lift the torso up and drop the hips into it. Let the top half of the body be upright but relaxed here. And moving back to Ardha Hanumanasana for a full breath first. Fingertips to the ground. By the way, you can also always use blocks here. Rock your weight back until you can bring the toes up towards the ceiling. We should get a nice stretch along the whole back side of the leg and reach the torso out and over the leg. Take a big inhale here. Let's move on the breath. Exhale, sit yourself down. Pull yourself up. Inhale. Extend through the leg. Exhale. One more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, sit down. Anjaneyasana. If you'd like, inhale, lift the arms up or stay as you are. Reach through the fingertips to extend through the sides of the waist. Lift through the heart space like someone is pulling a string from your sternum. Maybe lift back. And exhale, hands come down. Lift your back knee. Inhale, wind up. Exhale, kick your butt with your heel as you come back in and pull it back in. Inhale, pull yourself up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. I'm going to do a modified Surya Namaskar B now. So bring your big toes to touch, heels separate. Okay. Shoulders away from the ears. Sit your hips low. Arms come up, Utkatasana. No need to come down too low. So we don't want to stick our butt right out behind us and then be bending through the low back to get ourselves back upright. Rotate your pelvis down. Don't sit quite so low so you can lift your arms up. Exhale, fold yourself down. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step your right foot back, round down through the outer edge of the right foot. Inhale, Virabhadrasana, 1, Warrior 1. Everything squared towards the front of the mat. And exhale, hands come down. Inhale here. Exhale, step that foot towards the top of the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, step the left foot back. Root down through the knife edge of that foot. Inhale, arms come up. That back foot is serving as an anchor for us all the way up through that back leg. So you can then sit down into that front thigh. Exhale, hands come back down. Spin off of your back heel. Inhale. And exhale, big toes touch. Inhale, arms come up. Utkatasana. Exhale. Back where you started. That was our warm-up. Take a break if you need. Take some water. And we're going to separate our feet once more so that they're hips-width distance apart. Okay. I'm going to face you for these purposes, but you'll still be standing at the top of your mat. Root down through both of your feet. Find that hips-width distance. Find a little bit of buoyancy in your legs. Maybe just bounce like this a few times. And then also shift your weight around your center axis here. And just really feel yourself making contact with every part of the sole of your foot into the ground, finding Padabandha. Bring hands to heart center. Shift your weight over towards your left foot and pick up your right foot for Vrikshasana. Okay? You can start here and keep those toes on the ground. You can wrap the arch of the foot to the curve of the calf muscle, or skipping the side of the knee joint. You don't want to push it sideways. You can lift the foot up, maybe lend a hand to yourself there, and press it maybe all the way up and in towards the groin. Okay? Try to bring the hips level. Get nice and long. Pressing down through that foot so that you can lift up through your standing leg all the way, through the standing leg foot. Balance comes and goes, and that's just fine, okay? Be kind to yourself. If you'd like, reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Try not to bring the shoulders with it. And if you want to challenge your balance, lift your gaze up in between the line of your hands. If that feels too challenging today, find a drishti, a focal point for your eyes, somewhere on the ground, a good 10 to 15 feet in front of you, and then let the gaze become soft. Bring your hands back towards heart center if you lifted them up towards the sky. And then we're not going to drop the foot just yet. Try to keep the thigh as lifted as you can. Release the foot and turn the knee forward towards the front of the room. Toes point forwards, keep the ankle flexed. And then extend through the foot. Lift it as high as you can, keeping the hips level. And lower it to the ground. Let's shift to the other side. Shake that ankle out if you need to. Find the ground with 2 feet before you shift over, and then shifting over to the other leg, okay? Keep that leg buoyant, and then find wherever you'd like to find for your lifted foot, okay? Now our hip points are facing forward just as our shoulders are facing forward, but try to open that knee up just by opening through the hip without actually turning the hips. And once again, if you'd like to lift the arms. If your ankle is wobbling here, it's totally fine. It's gonna do that. Try to let the whole body be kind of fluid rather than tensing up against any small movements. That's what's going to make us fall out of this pose, okay? Balancing is not a steady state. It's something that we're constantly coming in and out of, adjusting as we go. Bring your hands back down towards center. And again, keep the foot lifted, but bring it off of the leg. Knee points forward, toes point forward. Try to keep the thigh parallel to the ground and try to straighten that leg as much as you can and bring it back down. Shake it out, okay? How are we doing on time? I think we're doing okay. I'm going to be at the top of my mat again. You haven't left the top of your mat. Okay. All right. Couple forward folds here. I'm stepping back just so you can see me. You can stay up there. Okay. We'll start by lifting. Exhale, fold forward. And we're going to come into Padangusthasana. So the feet are still hips width distance apart. And you're going to take your peace fingers and your thumbs, and you're going to wrap them around your big toes. You might have to bend your knees to do that. That's just fine. Then straighten them as much as you can. Find a sense of a half lift here. Okay, so as much as you can, find a flat, long back here. On an inhale, exhale, pull yourself in towards your legs. Take 5 breaths and try to sit into it. Our weight often wants to be back here in our heels. Try and rock it forward a little bit into the toes so you can lift your tailbone. You can even try pressing your big toes down into your fingers and really feeling that you're making contact. After 5 breaths, release one at a time and take Ardha Uttanasana, half lift with hands on the shins. Lengthen out through the spine. Bring the shoulders away from the ears. Reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold back into it. And this time, Padahastasana, you're going to bring your whole hand, palm face up, underneath the foot. So slide one at a time, nice and careful. Again, bend your knees as much as you need to get into this pose and stay here. Okay? And then find a sense of a nice Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, pull yourself into it. Rock the weight forward if you can.
Beautiful. Go ahead and release one hand at a time. Bring your hands to your hips like little wings. Press your elbows straight up towards the ceiling. Pull your shoulder blades together and use that to pull yourself up. Reverse swan dive. Okay. One last standing series and then we'll make our way down to the ground for a cool down. Okay. Hands on your hips here. Okay. Again, find a nice even footing here before you shift over to one foot. I'm going to use my right leg here, rooting down through the left leg. Just so you can see me, you can start on either foot. Again, bring your thigh parallel to the ground and then point your toes straight out in front of you. If you hiked up your hip as you lifted your leg, go ahead and drop it down now. And then extend. There we go, through that leg. You can keep your hands on your hips, or for a little extra challenge, reach your arms up in the air. And we're going to move into Virabhadrasana or Warrior 3. So start to sweep your leg back, and then once it's back behind you, start to move the torso at the same time as the leg. Getting really long as if someone's pulling your hands and your foot in the opposite direction. Then point the toes back behind you, reach for the ground behind you, find a nice long high lunge and land as softly as you can. Inhale, extend through front leg. Exhale, sit down into it. Inhale, extend. Exhale, sit back into it. Inhale, extend. Exhale, sit back into it. Last time, inhale, lift. Exhale, open up, Warrior 2. Take a nice long stance, nice and open. We don't want this knee to go past our front ankle. So if you find yourself here, we're going to want a longer stance. I'm not going to be here too long today. You're welcome to stay longer if you'd like. Flip your front palm. Reach yourself forward and tip it back. Reverse your warrior. Gaze up towards that top hand. This hand can sit on the side or the back of the leg, or you can wrap it around for a half bind. Try to stay low even as you're reaching up and back. Big inhale here. Exhale, Utthita Parshva extended side angle. We're going to come with the elbow on top of the thigh and this top arm forward at diagonal. Okay, try not to put too much weight here. And try to open your chest up towards the side, just like your hips are opened up here. If you want, you can float that bottom arm. Try not to let your torso move at all. Try not to let that top shoulder drop down. Reaching nice and long. Inhale, come back up and straighten through the front leg. Take a very slightly shorter stance for Trikonasana. If you've got a block, I would encourage you to put that on the inside of your foot. Okay? So you can turn your back heel out towards the mat and your toes a little bit towards the front diagonal. Arms come parallel, and you start to send your hips back towards the back of the room. Be careful to keep lifting on the top of this thigh and not lock that knee out. And reach forward and keep getting longer until you can't get longer anymore. And then hand comes down to a block and top arm comes up towards the ceiling. If we've got sensitive hands and wrists, which a lot of us might if we're doing this class, I challenge you to have a floating hand today that presses to the inside of the calf. And then you can use that as leverage to really open up here and find yourself this nice flat plane across the front of the body. And look down at your big toe before you come up, and then grow long and pull yourself back up, okay? From here, we're gonna swivel our heels in, and we're gonna find goddess pose. Most of us, if our feet are parallel here, most of our turnouts aren't that wide. So I like to take a smaller angle with my legs here, so bringing my feet a little bit closer towards the front of my mat here, and then sitting my hips behind that. So bring your hands to your hips and go ahead and sit nice and low. Take a nice big stance. Try and drop your tailbone right in between your legs here, rather than sticking your butt out behind you. Okay.
Go ahead and bring your hands into this nice, strong cactus shape. Feel the strength of your arms. Reach out through your fingertips. So everything is really engaged here. Your arms are mirroring your legs in this really nice way. If you need to close your eyes and just breathe here. It's a really nice way to just settle in. Try to resist the urge to do this sort of back and forth to release tension in one leg than the other. Challenge yourself just to sit and stay. Maybe challenge yourself to get a little bit lower. Take one more breath. Bring your hands to your hips and go ahead and lift yourself up. And from here, you're just going to swivel towards the front of the room. Actually, let's come into it a little more gracefully. Come back into your warrior two. Inhale here. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, just fingertips to the ground. And then go ahead, actually, from here, bring yourself to a power lunge, thinking on the fly here. You might have to hop your foot back in a little bit, and that's okay. If you need to make a slightly shorter stance, we're going to launch back into warrior three. So go ahead and try to do that. Think of pressing down through this heel and making this leg really strong so you can lift up and out of it, okay? And then arms reach forward. And then slowly bring yourself up. Bring that knee in towards your chest. Inhale, extend the leg. Exhale, bring it on down. Okay, we're going to do the other side. When you're ready, I'm going to be facing back from you, so I apologize if you can hear me a little less well. I'll try to speak up. Okay. So starting the same way, shift your weight over towards your other foot. Go ahead and lift your leg into the air. Toes point forward. Extend through the leg on an inhale. Stay here or lift the arms up overhead. Level the hips. Sweep the leg back. As it reaches center, start to move the torso with it. Extend out through the torso and through the lifted leg as you come down. Warrior three. Then think of reaching the toes behind you. Soften through the standing leg and find a nice high lunge. Inhale, lift. Grow nice and long. Exhale, sink low, even lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sink down. Last time, inhale, lift. Exhale, open up, warrior two. Flip your front palm. Reach forward, tip back, reverse your warrior. Maybe that hand comes and wraps around. Big inhale here. Exhale, Utthita Parsvakonasana. Reach the arm forward. Stay buoyant here. Don't sink down into this shoulder. You can really see it from the back. Okay, gaze up towards the ceiling underneath the arm. Maybe extend the bottom arm. Inhale, pull yourself up. Extend through that leg. Prepare yourself for Trikonasana. Okay. Parallel the heels in one line. Point the back toes towards the front diagonal and reach forward. And come down and reach the top arm and open it up. Gaze can come up towards the top hand, or you can look directly out in front of you or down at the foot. It's about whatever is comfortable on the neck. Try to lengthen out through this bottom side waist. Inhale, pull yourself back up, and we're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana. I'm going to face you guys for this one, but you'll be facing the other way. Swing your heels out so the feet are parallel. Okay, pull the elbows together, lift through the heart, hinging at the hips, and coming down. A forward fold. A lot of times we come with these chaturanga arms. That's maybe going to hurt our wrists. So you can reach your fingertips back towards the back of the room and round through the spine here. You can also hold on to the ankles and pull yourself in, or reach your arms up overhead
And maybe get a nice shoulder opener. And then go ahead and bring your fingertips out in front of you. Find a flat back. Hands to hips. Inhale, lift. Come back into that warrior two. Same transition. You'll be facing the other way. Inhale here. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Spin off of your back heel. Hop it in if you need to. And come into that power lunge. Nice diagonal line. Think of pressing down, making this leg powerful so you can lift yourself up into warrior three. Reach the arms forward. And slowly lift yourself up. Inhale, extend through the leg. Exhale, bring it on down. Awesome work. Making our way down to the ground now. Take a sip of water if you need to. Alrighty. We're going to bring our big toes to touch at the top of our mat now. And you can scoot back from the top of your mat a little bit because we want, when we sit down, our hips to be in the middle of our mat. You can always move once you get down there. So feet together. In fact, let's bring the ankles together as well here. And you're going to lift up onto the balls of your feet. Lift your heels up as high as you can into the air. Keep the knees, keep the thighs glued together as you start to bend the knees and make your way down into a toe stand. Try to stay upright. Try to keep the ankles from coming apart from one another. And lastly, try to keep those heels high in the air. Stay nice and tall. Okay. And then from here, we're going to, as gracefully as we can, drop back into a seat. Okay. So reach your arms out in front of you as a little counterbalance and start to bring your heels down towards the ground. Start to reach forward, and then from here, boop, just come on back, okay? Scoot your hips forward, so again, you're in the center of your mat. And we're gonna come into Navasana. So you can feel yourself on your sitting bones here, the little bony protrusions, particularly if you're on not a lot of carpet, okay? We wanna move just behind them. So you can feel here, you can really feel them pressing down. Just tip your weight back a little bit. So your center of mass is right behind your sitting bones. Keep a nice long torso here. Try not to round back, okay? So keep lifting through the chest. This might be enough for some of us today. If you want, try and lift one leg and maybe another. Thighs stay parallel to the ground, and we want to keep lifting through the chest. Again, like someone is putting a string to our sternum and lifting us up, okay? You can even follow your gaze where the direction of your torso is going. If you want, you can try extending through the legs or keep them bent. And then from here, we're gonna lower ourselves down to the ground. If you wanna just put the legs down and roll yourself down, that is one option. Another option is to stay in this boat pose, extend the legs, and hollow the belly towards the ground, keeping the shoulder blades hovering off the ground. And then lower yourself all the way down. Whew. Take a big breath. Reach your arms up overhead. Take a big breath in. Puff up the belly. And then bring the legs back in towards you. Bring your hands to the backs of your thighs, or do it without, either way. And we're going to start rocking and rolling. And you can start small. And the goal here is we want to land back in Navasana as gracefully as we can. So take a few rolls, and then when you're ready, try and end where you started. Okay. Drop your feet to the ground, scoot your hips back so you can straighten through your legs, and toes point up towards the ceiling. If your hamstrings are tight, you might find that straightening your legs means that you're rounding through your back. If that's the case, it's much better if you can bend through the knees and then sit nice and tall from there. So either way, whatever works for you. Press your fingertips lightly into the ground so you make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. Just this should be a fair amount of core engagement. Add the arms up overhead. I need a nice strong staff pose.
Inhale, get long through the top half of the body so that as you exhale, you can drape yourself over the legs. You might rock back from side to side so you can extend through the legs. You can reach onto the feet. You can reach onto the legs. You can let your hands rest alongside you. Take a couple half lifts holding on to wherever you're holding on to. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold forward. Move with the wave of the breath. Inhales, lengthen you. Exhales, fold you a little bit deeper. And then stay for a few breaths. Slowly roll your way up. From here, step your feet in. Might scoot your hips forward just a little bit. And then we're just going to go ahead and roll our way down. If you want to move through boat pose again, you're welcome to. We're coming down to the back side of our bodies. Okay. And go ahead and walk your feet in for a little bit of bridge pose. You might have a block nearby to slide underneath your sacrum. Okay, so step your feet in, maybe graze the backs of the heels with your fingers. And then start to think of cupping your pelvis towards the ceiling, up towards your face, and start to roll up from there, one vertebra at a time, and find a nice bridge pose. You can stay here. You might move on the breath if that feels good, rolling yourself down on an exhale. Inhale, rolling yourself back up, and find repeats there. If this feels good, take a block and slide it underneath you. Probably on the lower or the medium height, not the highest height. It's going to be beneath your sacrum, so that's closer down towards your tailbone than it is the lumbar region, the small of your back. Okay. And then you can let the organs in the abdominal cavity soften here. You can try lifting a leg with or without the block. You might try lifting both legs and get a little legs up the wall without the wall action. Somewhere between legs up the wall and candlestick. Stay as long as you'd like. We're almost done here. We're going to lift the hips, slide the block out underneath us, or just come down if there's no block. Separate the feet towards the outer edges of the mat so you can let your knees knock in towards one another. And let the low back release. Pick your knees up and in towards your chest and give yourself a little squeeze here and rock from side to side. And roll the knees in circles in both directions. And then go ahead and find a figure 4. So bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh and then press your knee away from you and then pick up your left leg. You can interlace your fingers so they reach the back of your thigh and pull yourself in. Keep flexing through this top foot. Your bottom foot can relax if it wants, that's okay, but it's important that we keep this top foot engaged. And then move on to the other side. Extend that leg and then bring it back down to the ground. Okay. Flex through the left foot, press the left knee away from your face, but then pick the right leg up and pull that knee in towards you. Okay. This is really nice variation on pigeon. We get to do it on our back. It's nice and relaxing, and it's often a lot less intense on people's knees and other joints. And drop the foot to the ground. Extend through the left leg and bring it back down. And last thing here before Shavasana, we'll take a supine spinal twist. So lift the knees in towards your chest. And you might pick your hips up a little bit and scoot them over to the left of your mat. And then drop your knees over towards the right. That way, when you come down, your hips and your knees are more stacked than if you had just dropped with your hips where they were. Either look up towards the ceiling or tilt the head over towards the opposite fingers and close your eyes. Try to keep your opposite, in this case your left shoulder, glued down to the ground. And then slowly unwind, move over towards the other side. So bring the feet to the ground so you can scoot your hips over to the right, and then drop your knees towards the left. And then again, try and make your right shoulder really heavy. Keep this hand, this whole backside of the arm making contact with the ground. Gaze out over the fingertips or close the eyes. And slowly come back to center. Unwind one piece at a time. Give yourself one last squeeze. Feel free here to take a happy baby, reaching for the outer edges of the feet. If you want to take a shoulder stand or anything else that you can do safely that you like to do towards the end of your practice, you're welcome to. Otherwise, bring your feet to the ground. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Maybe find a cover for the eyes or put on a sweater. Your arms will rest alongside of you. Back of the head pressing down into the earth, and close the eyes. If you're not quite ready to settle, take a couple settling breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. I encourage you to stay here for the next 5 to 10 minutes. So take your time, be kind to your body, give yourself the proper time to settle in after this practice. And then make sure you come out of it nice and gradually. I hope you enjoyed this class. I will be sure to do some more classes soon. And please let me know if you have any questions. I will post my email. So feel free to chat, or if you need any other modifications. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.